Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good evening. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Sorry for the delay. Had a little bit of a sound issue. I had to reboot some things right when we went live. But we have got to get into a conversation. There's some very interesting things that have been popping off. And of course, this is all breaking stuff, breaking news stuff. Got here in this room as quickly as I could to break the news to you guys. Let me just say this. Come on, can we say the quiet part, maybe the loud part out loud? Can we just finally get to the point and just say Coco is cooked? Can we just finally say that? Can we finally just say that he's done, him cooked, stick a fork in him, he's done? Can we? Please? My God. Anyway, we've got to get into this. This is very interesting stuff. And again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But I think Coco's cooked. So please do me a favor. Before we get into everything, hit that like button down below. Crush it, do it to do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Rumble. If you are watching on those platforms, make sure you hit that follow button, okay? Show some love by simply caressing that follow button. Also, caress that subscribe button here on my main channel here. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Crush that subscribe button over there. Make sure you hit that notification bell on both platforms so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because a lot of times it is random. A lot of times it's breaking news stuff like this, okay? And it's going to be like this for a while, so everyone get used to it, okay? Don't forget to hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com, okay? Got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Okay, we got to get into this, guys. All right. Oh, my damn. That's all I can say. Oh, my Lord. Every single second that we keep looking at or hearing more information about the Idaho 4 tragedy, the more I'm just like, man, he did this. There's no question. The man did this. Sure, we could sit here and go, well, maybe, and do that all day long, smoking from your pipe, sitting in a room smelling of rich mahogany. But at the same time, leather-bound books and stuff. But at the same time, there are things that you just can't deny. Now, here's the thing. A couple things that have happened. Yeah, and I know there's going to be people who are, pro-burgers, okay, that are going to say stuff like, Bryan Kohberger's innocent. Well, I need to see where the innocence is. I need to see where the reasonable doubt is. Because right now, with everything that they're saying, all the information that's starting to slowly leak out, and, there will be a trial here at some point, right? Coming soon to a court not near us, but you know what I mean. The more and more we're seeing more and more stuff going on, the more and more I'm going, yeah, they got their guy. The only thing I say is maybe they didn't get the only guy, but they got their guy. They got at least one of the guys, because there's so many things that he does or has done that looks sus as hell. The entire time, it's a dun, 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 the entire time. And we're going to look at a couple things. First and foremost, I don't know. Here it is. Let me just say this. When we see this, there's a new photo that just came out. And I understand that some people might be thrown off by this, but this was his Tinder. This was his Tinder profile photo, okay? I'm kidding, it wasn't. But at the same time, you know, he might have been cold. Maybe he was thinking about like long division. Maybe he was thinking about his taxes at that moment. Maybe he was stressed. Maybe he was stressed. Maybe he's like, damn, I would kill for a cheeseburger right now with meat, animal meat. Maybe he's because I heard, sometimes being a vegan can be hard and you still have those cravings. You feel me? So maybe he's like, man, I would kill for a pepperoni pizza right now. And he's just mad because of that vegan life. That vegan life got a hold on him. You feel me? But there's something really interesting and kind of creepy about this photo. Wouldn't you think? But let's not forget, this is the same guy. Look at that. Yes, it's Lord Voldemort. Yes, Lord Voldemort. Okay? It's definitely giving me Sith Lord vibes. I was going to say it's giving me Sith Lord vibes, right? Definitely. But you also got to remember, this is the same guy who's looking so intensely into the lens. This is the same dude that had to go out and see the moon and the stars around the same time that these four lost their lives. Does that look that he has in his eyes look like the look of a tree hugger? Let me ask that question one more time, because I may have stuttered when I said that. Does this look on his face in this photo look like a person who's a tree hugger? Okay, this is the part when you say hell no. Okay, I'm just letting you know. This is when you say hell to the mother no. That does not look like somebody who hugs trees at 4 o'clock in the morning any given day. Definitely does not give me the vibe that he just needs to go see the moon and the stars, and that he needs to turn off his phone because he needs to be part with nature. He has to be one with nature, with the mother nature, in pitch black, in the woods. Sorry, not sorry. I just don't see it. But at the same time, I will say this too. You got to remember, he has been giving a vibe like he's not completely aware that he might be a little, socially awkward. That's been affirmative, like crazy since day one, since he's been arrested. He may not understand this is not, I don't, he may not think that, he may think that this photo's okay. He may have gotten done with a very intense run. He may have, I don't know. Or maybe he's feeling himself after taking the lives of 4 people. And now he thinks he's diabolical. He thinks he is death incarnate. Something to think about. Because this definitely was a photo that was taken after those 4 lost their lives. So again, I ask you again, does this look like a photo of a person that goes out and hugs trees? And no, he's not cosplaying as a Sith Lord. No, not even Voldemort. Then he would have no nose, right? And he'd be like even more pasty white than he actually is. So again, soak it in, everybody. Let me just blow this up so you guys can see it even better. There he is. Coco. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say something here too. And some people are saying that this is photoshopped. I mean, some people say it's fake, but I think it's hilarious that people would say that that is fake. One thing is for sure. Yes, it's grainy as hell, but the other photo is grainy as hell. And, you know, honestly, let me pull up that photo too. I got to find it, though. Because, you know, that photo's something else as well. Two drastically different things, too. You know, he's like getting ready to go to church because he's got his Sunday best on, you know. He's got his headphones in. You know, he's having a great time. You know. But then you see this photo right here. It's interesting how he looks different in so many photos. 1 second he looks one way, and then the next minute he looks completely different, right? Like his original mugshot looks like one of the guys from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The guy who plays the sociopath in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you know who I'm talking about, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Okay. And then seconds later, he'll look completely different. He'll look like somebody else. He's got such a strange face. Okay. But to me, it seems like, I was just about to say, Ricky Lynn, like two completely different personalities. Two completely different people. Once again, this is a photo that allegedly was taken right around the time, clearly after the unalivings, but right before he actually was arrested. Now, I don't know what this photo is for. I don't know if he was on some weird dark web type of thing where he's having conversations with other people online and then he's sending a photo of, like, you know, kind of like the other photo, because this photo gives me a vibe like, I did it. I accomplished what I was hoping to accomplish. All my dreams came true. I did it, guys. I did it, right? And there's something weird about this. Like I said, I'm still wondering if he's like, what's up, right? Could he have been conversating with somebody? Maybe he's never met these people in person, but he's having conversations with people online. That's a possibility. He looks like a vampire. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe. But it's weird, right? Something's weird. But we clearly know that this guy was making plans. And I believe he was planning to do more. I gotta hit the button. I honestly think he was planning on doing more. And yes, you know, he had to go and return some videotapes. If you haven't seen or read the book American Psycho, you won't understand what I mean. Okay? But maybe he had to go return some videotapes. Maybe that's what it was too. But again, something very interesting is going on here. Rianne, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Happy weekend, P. Happy weekend to you too. Everybody, every potty princess B, and me. Okay. Happy weekend to all you guys. Seriously, thank you. But still, the thing is, okay, it's interesting, right? His vibe, somebody said his aura or something like that. His aura is giving off creepy vibes. Okay. Definitely not, you know, definitely has no game. As the kids would say, no riz, right? No pull, whatever. But what's interesting about this is tonight, of all nights, Dateline is coming out with some very exclusive, never before seen footage and information that's going to be all on Dateline tonight. Now they have given a little bit, a few breadcrumbs, a few bits of information that we have not heard about until now. So I want to share this and for us to check this out as well, because again, like I said, this guy, oh, I'm sorry, there is no way he has had nothing to do with this, because there's so much being said about this that makes you wonder what's really going on here. And then also at the same time, he really got off on this, maybe in more ways than one. And he was planning, I believe he was planning on doing this all over again. You got to remember, he bought the K-bar knife, then he used that K-bar knife, and then that K-bar knife is nowhere to be seen. Where's that K-bar knife that he bought from Amazon? Where is it? But then even after that, a little time later, he went back onto Amazon to buy another K-bar. But then he didn't fully process. He didn't go and pay it out. That K-bar was never bought, but he was looking. And I truly believe he was thinking about doing some things. Here's some other information before we get into this, okay? Here's some other things. We also find out that he had a lot of screenshots and saved photos of people that were friends or followers of some of the girls in the Idaho 4. So Maddie, Xana, Kaylee. He had photos of girls that were from multiple schools, the same from different universities, his university and their university. A lot of them were either friends or were following those girls. You don't think he really wasn't targeting these girls? He really wasn't making plans on doing something, plans on doing what he did? It's crazy stuff. There's so much more information in here. We're going to get into it. I'm just saying, his search, his browser history is disturbing and messed up. Okay. Really, really messed up. Not only is he looking up famous serial monsters of the past, notorious, like Ted Bundy, but he's also going on the P-hubs, going on certain sites, looking for very extreme types of spicy content that I didn't even know even existed on the internets. All after these 4 lost their lives. Again, he's cooked, y'all. So let's take a look at this video. I have to hop in and out because, it's NBC and all that. All right. Fair use and all that crap. But again, some crazy stuff. So do me a favor, guys. Please do me a favor. Okay. Because this is big deals. Very, very big deals. Big deals. So please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Hit that reaction button. Of course, if you're watching on other platforms, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe, mother lovers. Okay. And of course, hit that notification bell if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated. Let's get into this, shall we? Okay. You guys aren't getting, oh, diggity damn. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Give me a second. I thought that I had it, but I didn't. Crap. Apologies, my friends. Thank you for letting me know. We're going to start that again. Damn. Okay, let's do it again. Sorry, guys. And take two.
In this house, just steps from campus, in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students, Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Gernodal, and Ethan Chapin, were stabbed to death. Their accused killer, Bryan Kohberger, faces trial this summer. He's pleaded not guilty. For the last 2.5 years, Dateline has been on the ground, reporting, gathering, and learning from people with direct knowledge of the case. We've obtained things that have never before been seen publicly.
Okay, now this is what I was trying to say. Okay, just so you guys know. I have to say, there are some times that Dateline can be off. I'm sorry, I have to say that. Sometimes they can be off. Okay? So we do have to take this with a grain of salt. The information that's going to be coming out, we do have to take a lot of these things with a grain of salt. And I know that there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you know, this is some BS. Dateline is never right, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes they're right on point. And if they have footage, which we're going to be seeing here in just a few seconds here, they have footage of this guy driving around multiple times in the area. He also, just like STL Cards just said a second ago, and it's damn for show the truth, okay? Kohberger has no alibi. Let me just say that again. Kohberger has no alibi. Let me just repeat that one more time. Kohberger has no alibi. You're welcome. He has no alibi. So the fact that, because you can miss me with the nonsense of, I need to go see the moon and the stars. Shut up. That is not, I repeat, not an alibi. Because no one else can back you up on that, guys. No one else can back him up. They're not like, yes, I was out there with him holding his hands, looking at the moon and the stars. We were singing Kumbaya. We were butt naked, just drumming with our little hand drum I made myself. Yes, I made myself the little hand drum. It's really nice. And we're doing it together. We do it all the time around 4 o'clock, just around that time where we turn off our phones because we want to be with nature. We want to hug the tree. We just want to hug the tree. That's what we want to do. That's not an alibi. Oh my God. He was by himself. He was with nobody else. Stop it. He did this. I love you. Moving on. Moving the F on.
Like these security videos from a camera on a house near the murder scene. Videos that show a white sedan, a car that investigators believe was driven by Bryan Kohberger, making repeated passes at the King Road house that night before the murders. With evidence...
I'm sorry, we got to roll that back because what? Say that again? They have footage of what? Him driving around over and over and over again? Come on, man. Come on, guys. I'm sorry. I don't mean to yell. I'm sorry. When I get passionate, I raise my voice a little bit. And you should already know that by now because you watched the show, I'm sure. But at the same time, okay, you've got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. No, he had nothing to do with this. Yeah, he was driving around in that area multiple times that night in his car. Oh my God. But he does that on, because he has that OCD. So he needs to drive around in that area a couple times before he goes out and hugs trees. That's what he does every day. That's exactly what he does. That's totally normal, right? Same night. If I'm correct, if that time stamp is correct, that's a half hour or so before all hell breaks loose. Yes, he was surveying the area. Jay Blaze, come on, bruh. That man up to no good, you heard. Come on, guys. He's innocent. No, he's not. I'm sorry. Too many things are stacked up against him, and the only thing he has running for him is the fact that he said he wanted to go out and hug some mother-loving trees. Come on. We gonna continue though. See this car driving around? He was plotting. And maybe he was thinking about doing it around that time, but maybe he was trying to get enough courage. You know what I mean? Grabbing his cojones and going, wake up, sack the hell up. Maybe that's what he was doing, trying to psych himself up before he did the deed. This is crazy, guys.
Like these security videos from a camera on a house near the murder scene. Videos that show a white sedan, a car that investigators believe was driven by Bryan Kohberger, making repeated passes at the King Road house that night before the murders.
Do you see how many times he passed by? He passed by several times. But okay. But I know some people are going to be like, but I don't see an Elantra. I don't see the Hyundai. Okay.
With evidence like this and our reporting, we have assembled a timeline for the weeks, months, and days before and after the murders. Starting with a pool party Kohberger attended in July, just after he moved to the area in pursuit of his PhD in criminology. An exclusive interview with a woman who exchanged numbers with Kohberger, then did not return his text.
Hold on. So he has game? What? Hold on. Real talk. A girl that met him at a pool party exchanged numbers with him. And I don't know if she did it. Here's the thing. We don't know if he stepped up to her and he was like, sup, girl. We don't know. Or because he was so slick and he was so good and so versatile with his words that she was so impressed that she exchanged numbers with him. Or, here's the other part, or they exchanged numbers because she felt bad for the dude or gave him the wrong number. I don't see him having any game, as the kids will say. I don't think he has any riz. I just don't think he has any game. But at the same time, maybe she was like, he's kind of cute. And, exchanged the numbers with him. But then she had to change her heart, clearly, because she was not responding to his text message when he texted her.
An interview with a woman who exchanged numbers with Kohberger, then did not return his text.
Of course not.
The universe intervened and for whatever reason just distracted me from further engaging in that interaction.
Oh, okay. So never mind. She was like, he was kind of cute. He was kind of cute, but then it just didn't work out. Time, her busyness, etc. She got sober. I'm done. She got sober. At first she was like, oh, he's kind of cute. Okay. This is my number. Call me anytime. And then nothing happened. Thank God nothing happened. Right? But he has gone on dates, guys. And remember back way back, it feels like 7,000 years ago. Remember there was a girl that came out and said I had a date with him and it was weird. And then if I remember correctly, she went to the bathroom to try to make him catch the hint that she wasn't interested. And then he left. If I remember correctly, it's been, them nice birthing hips. Yes. Birthing hips. Okay. Yeah. Those nice birthing hips. She said some weird stuff. Right. And so he was going on dates. It wasn't like he was completely oblivious to talking to women or talking to people. You also got to remember, I want to remind you, but you got to remember, this is the information, and maybe this girl will be part of the trial because it's very important. Because you got to remember, his team is trying to make it seem like he's so oblivious and has no idea what's going on. His OCD, his autism, his all these things that he's got going on are cutting off his connection with reality, right? That he can't even compute signals. He doesn't understand or filter human emotion or something like that. It was weird, or it was something like that, right? And I'm like, really? Because we hear about him going on dates. We hear about him getting his PhD, right? Getting his master's, and he was on his way to getting his PhD. Real talk, Just, you can miss me with the nonsense, with the BS, right? He clearly was trying to holler. He was clearly going on dates. Yeah, you got them nice birthing hips, girl. Them birthing hips. That's what he was saying to that girl. And that's what turned her off. But she was willing to go on a date with him in the first place. So clearly he was pulling some sort of game. Clearly he was going on dates. That's what I mean by, like, it's not like they try to paint him up like, oh, because he has autism, he just can't fully compute what's going on. That's ridiculous. You could still be on the spectrum and be a monster. Okay? And you can also be not on the spectrum and be a monster too. So stop it. He clearly was able to do things. He was a TA at this school. He interacted with people all the time. He interacted with a girl well enough to exchange numbers with this chick. I rest my case. Stop. So like I said, hopefully the prosecution pulls this stuff up and says, you can miss us with the nonsense. And I hope the prosecution says that. You can miss us with the nonsense. Prosecution rests. That's what they should do. Okay? Because like I said, if you could pull numbers, you're able to talk to girls. You went to a pool party. It's not like he's home by himself, just sitting around looking at corn, beating the meat by himself, thinking about Ted Bundy and disgusting, disturbing corn. He was going out and still getting numbers. Moving on.
We'll also reveal records from Kohberger's cell phone that are in the possession of law enforcement and Google searches regarding the serial killer Ted Bundy.
Nasty.
We have also seen these. Dozens of photos in Kohberger's cell phone, browsing history, women from Washington State and the University of Idaho, including close friends of the King Road victims.
Word?
Dateline has also...
Sorry, we got to cut in and out of this thing, but you heard that, right? Don't worry, I'm gonna rewind that ish for y'all so you can hear everything. So he went on his phone and he was Googling things like Ted Bundy. Now, first off, if you don't remember, Ted Bundy did a disgusting, disturbing thing where he raided and went on a mass unaliving spree in a sorority. If you guys don't know that story, look it up. It's disturbing. It's absolutely diabolical, but he did that. Okay. Now, he was looking that up. Why, you may ask? You got to remember, he ran into a house filled with girls. November 13th, early in the morning, and he took out 4 people, 3 girls and a young man as well, with 3 young women and a young man as well, all in that house. You don't think that he was looking at Ted Bundy as maybe as inspiration? Maybe he was trying to do a copycat move. Maybe. But he was looking it up. Also, the photos on his phone of girls in bikinis that were either friends with or followers of these victims. That's disturbing as hell, y'all. And you mean to tell me he didn't do this? Okay. Phone
that are in the possession of law enforcement and Google searches regarding the serial killer Ted Bundy. We have also seen these. Dozens of photos in Kohberger's cell phone, browsing history, women from Washington State and the University of Idaho, including close friends of the King Road victims.
I'm telling you right now, this special is going to be action-packed. I feel like every second there's going to be something new. I hope. But here's the thing, though. With these photos, I wonder if any of the girls that are in these photos, they're blurred, but you can tell. Like, you could definitely be like, oh my God, that's me holding the watermelon. Literally, that's me in that photo. Oh my God, he had my photo on his phone. I feel bad for the girls. All these, for a fact, every student that is savvy or hip to this case is going to be glued to their television for the first time ever. They're like, get the papers off the TV. We got to watch it on TV. What's that? You know, that thing right there in the corner, you know, that we got? It's a flat screen thing. Yeah, that's called television. They're going to actually turn on that television for the first time in probably a year and be shook, being like, oh my God, that's me. That's my photo. That's creepy, though, guys. If you really think about it, that's disturbing and creepy.
Dateline has also obtained records showing the details of what an FBI cell phone expert has claimed to be in the month before the murders. 23 occasions when Kohberger's phone connected to a cell tower, providing coverage to within 100 meters of the house at 1122 King Road.
Oh, my God. Oh. Now, I will say this. Hold on. Before we go absolutely nuck and futz on that, let me just say, he did this. Okay? He did this. There's no question. But let me just say something really, really quick. There is a possibility that maybe in that area, wherever this cell phone tower is, maybe that's a spot nearby. That's a vegan spot that he likes to go to. Maybe it's a local coffee shop that he likes to go to. There could be a bookstore or a store of any kind that he likes to go to. That's still a possibility. I'm just throwing that out. Okay? I'm not saying that he didn't do it. Okay? I'm not saying he did this. But the fact that he's 23 different occasions in that area, that's interesting. Unless he used that as a trail, like a route that he would do on his runs. Because you got to remember, he was a runner. He's a runner. He's a track star. He ran, and actually, fast runner. 6-minute miles. That's crazy. Okay, so he's a veteran in the running world. Okay, damn good runner. All right. He's got stamina. So there's a possibility that he could have been running in that area a bunch of times and it just pinged off of that cell phone tower. But at the same time, I'm sorry, with everything else that they've been stacking up and presenting in the last less than 2 minutes so far, all of it is damning, guys. And sure, it's going to be up to his team to prove, oh, well, you know, that just happens to be a coincidence that he was in that area 23 times. There's a local vegan spot that he goes to all the time, and it's right there, right? That's possible, but I don't think so. They're gonna have a hard time. This is an uphill battle. Like I said, it's gonna be an uphill battle for his team to prove that he's innocent here, guys.
And in the hours after the murders,
oh boy,
details of the timing of phone calls Bryan Kohberger made to a phone linked to his parents just before the controversial selfie he took. And we'll...
Sorry. He made a phone call after the unalivings happened, guys. So he had oh, dear Lord. He made a call to his parents. He called his parents at 4-something in the morning. After all of this stuff happened.
Details of the timing of phone calls Bryan Kohberger made to a phone linked to his parents just before the controversial selfie he took. And we'll talk to the mother whose daughter was supposed to be staying in the house the night of the murders, but a change of plans may have saved her daughter's life.
Okay, so now you got another person that was supposed to be in the room or supposed to be in the house, spending the night hanging out with her girlfriends, and that did not happen. But listen, you got this is after, guys, after the unalivings, after this tragedy ensued. He went and he called up his parents. Now, I get it. You know, some parents are early risers. Some people are early risers. Maybe he called, you know, and you got to remember, there's hours difference between Washington State and Philadelphia, or I'm sorry, Pennsylvania. There, you know, that's East Coast, West Coast time. So again, him calling them, you know, around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, it may not be it may not be strange, but he still was making these phone calls after. Very odd, guys. Very, very odd. But let's continue.
How soon was it that you thought, my God, she was going to be there?
I didn't think about that right away.
Oh.
All I could think about was the kids.
Makes you sad too, doesn't it?
It does. Sorry.
I'm wondering why they're interviewing the mom and not the actual girl. And I understand like the daughter might not want to do the interview, but that's interesting that the mom is here. But we'll just play a little bit of this real quick.
So many damaged families. Angela Nevejas told us that her daughter, Ashlyn, Maddie Mogan's best friend, moved away from Idaho and now refuses to come home to visit because of the trauma associated with the murders. She's hoping some of that may change and Ashlyn will start to grieve after Bryan Kohberger's trial.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. There's going to be a lot of people that are not fully done grieving yet because in their minds, you know, even though these kids have had their ceremonies, they've been buried and all that, they're still here. The justice hasn't happened yet. And I'm sure that's going to happen very soon. I hope it does. We got more here, so hold tight. Real quick, CC, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family, CC. And just like CC, please consider becoming a member by hitting that join button down below. It's that simple. Just hit that join button down below. Become a member of the family. It's that simple. But there's more information in here. That's crazy though, guys, that he had selfies. Okay. He would have selfies that the selfies that he had, those are creepy. But then, and then at the same time, that photo that he took, not the Sith Lord one. I'm talking about this one right here. This one is still very, very creepy to me. And maybe some people are going to be side-eyeing the parents that, you know, maybe he, I don't know, had a conversation with his parents like, I did it. I actually did it, right? But he was making phone calls with his family. Was he making phone calls to cover his tracks so that he just to make sure, check in on them, to make sure that they're not like, oh, yeah, honey, we heard something very terrible happened in that area right down the street from your school. You hear that? You hear about that, Bri? No, Ma. I haven't heard anything about that. Maybe that's what he was doing. Calling to see if anybody had talked about it. If it turned into a massive story at that time. Or just to be like, hey, Ma, Dad, I'm doing great. Just got done with the run. It's a great run. About to go to, you know, do this, this, and this. Got some papers to grade. About to have an amazing day. I'll see you, Lord. I'll see you soon. I mean, it's possible. Pulled all kinds of things to try to cover up his tracks to make it look like it's just a normal day for him. Right? So that's possible. But it's very, very interesting, guys. Okay? So I got some paperwork here. We're going to look at that. We got an article. We're going to take a look. Like I said, it's wild to me that you got this guy driving around in his Elantra, in his cilantro, okay, multiple times in the area before everything went down. And I know some people are going to be like, but is that really his car? I'm telling you right now, it's his car. Unless there's something that comes out of nowhere and they're like, oh, yeah, no, that was somebody else who was just driving around in the area multiple times. Again, this is some bad stuff. So let's get into this. So searches and selfies, okay? We got some his online habits emerge in new details. The Ted Bundy thing throws me the F off. Now, I get it. Because of his line of studies, criminology and all that, he would be looking up faces and names like Bundy, Dahmer, Gacy. I get that. But isn't it quite coincidental that he's looking up that stuff at the same time that this tragedy happened? It's a bit weird to me, okay? It's a bit weird. Tipsy, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate that. Thank you for the reminder that this was airing on Dateline tonight. Of course, yes, it'll be on tonight. I'll be watching it for sure. Because I want to see if there's anything more. I just hope it's not like that's all the bombshell stuff and then that's it. You know what I mean? And then it goes into the interview about the girl who almost stayed at the house but didn't stay at the house. It's great. I'm happy that she made it out alive and that she's not there, and it's tragic, but at the same time, I want to hear the case. You know what I'm saying? I want to get the info. But Tipsy, thank you so much for the information. I appreciate it. Life be lifing. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Welcome to the family. All right. Now, this is very interesting, okay? Yeah, I know. I heard about that theory, too, about that argument, Nina. So a black and white video will make a light green car appear to be white. Appear to be white. I see that too, but at the same time, I don't know. But like I said, something about this. How about this? Even if it was a green car driving around a billion times, what was that green car? If it was a green car, why was that green car driving around so damn much? And you would hope that law enforcement would go and interrogate that particular person with that green car and ask them that burning question. Why were you driving around so damn much? We saw you driving in circles a billion times. Are you a DoorDasher? Were you Ubering, people? Were you doing Lyft? What's going on here? Because you were driving in circles pretty much nonstop for a half hour straight. Something to think about, though. Okay. Yes, I saw that whole thing about the green Elantra right behind the house as a neighbor, and I saw that too. But I don't think so. I don't think so. But again, we will see. We will see, right? And it doesn't hurt. It's never wrong to ask all those questions. Real talk. It's never wrong to ask all those questions. But there's something about this that just makes me think that was a white Elantra, and that's it. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe the neighbor was, out there gallivanting with a whole bunch of strumpets. We don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe they were. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't even there that night. Maybe that car wasn't anywhere near that house that night because they were out there gallivanting with scallywags. You see what I'm saying? So anything's possible. I think it's the car that he was in because that would make more sense. We also had reports, remember, saying that they saw a white Elantra driving around a bunch. That's from police reports as well, saying that there was a white Elantra driving around in circles as well. Okay? So, interesting. Regardless, everything else that we're hearing so far, still to me, this dude did this. But let's get into this. 6 weeks before a masked intruder slipped inside the rental home on the edge of University of Idaho campus, taking the lives of 4 students, inducted into the darkness, Bryan Kohberger was under pressure. During the fall semester of 2022, he was a 27-year-old doctoral, godly, I can't talk, student in criminology at Washington State University, which we already know about, right? An 8-mile drive west of the University of Idaho. His role as a teaching assistant, leading classes and grading papers, was not going well. Students and sources who spoke to Dateline said that's what they said. But at the same time, he was still a TA. That's a big deal. He was still leading classes. He was still grading papers. And yet his team is trying to make it seem like he's incompetent. Interesting, right? Some students complained that he was overly demanding and they didn't feel comfortable. A dean summoned him to discuss his professional behavior after he also clashed with colleagues. But around that time, Instagram may have served as a distraction. So his cell phone browsing history obtained by Dateline And then the possession of law enforcement shows dozens of pictures, which we saw in the video, dozens of pictures of female students of Washington State and the University of Idaho wearing many in bathing suits. A review of those accounts found some of them were close friends with or followers of 3 of the murdered students. So Xana, Kaylee, and Madison. Okay? Why would you have those people's information, photos, all that stuff saved on your phone? You got to remember. Oh, and here's the other theory in my mind. There's a good possibility that maybe he deleted the old photos of Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee because he already did what he needed to do with them. That could be it too. And maybe these screenshots of all these other girls were new targets, were new prey. Remember that. Why would you have all these screenshot photos of girls in their bikinis and all that stuff? Unless you were using for your own personal, enjoyment, which is weird. But at the same time, it could also be him holding on to that information so that he can go find them, track them down, and do the same thing that he did in November with those 4. That's a possibility. Let's continue on. Okay? Let's continue on. He could have had a whole list of girls that he wanted to do bad things to. Yeah, Criminal Med, kind of like next up. Yeah. This was successful. I want to do it again. The thrill I had. Let me do that again really quick. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe there was something. Maybe it was like something about them physically got him going, which made him have blood, a lust for blood. I don't know. That's possible too. But you are right with the deleted pics can even be recovered. So maybe they do find that, and maybe they don't. I don't know. But it seems like he knew the people he wanted to target, and then he did what he did, and then he still had a treasure trove of photos of other girls, and maybe those are other options to maybe try to strike again. That's just my theory. Okay. So while Idaho prosecutors allege Kohberger unalived the 3 housemates as well as Kernodle's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, in the early morning hours of November 13th, a prior connection, if any, between the suspect and the victims has remained unknown. That's one thing I'm still kind of curious about as well. If there is a connection at all, maybe they were at the pool party and he saw the girls and he really liked them. And maybe, you see what I'm saying? It could have started from there. And then the obsession grew from there. That's possible. Now, ahead of the long-awaited trial that's set to begin in August, digital material and documents obtained by Dateline offer new insight into the case in the weeks leading up to the unalivings until his arrest in late December of 2022. A judge entered a not guilty plea on Kohberger's behalf on 4 counts of first-degree unaliving and 1 count of burglary. Okay, so and then of course his defense lawyers have said he maintains his innocence. And during a court hearing in Boise last month, they teased the possibility of an alternate suspect. Who that could be, we don't know, but they could just be putting in reasonable doubt that maybe it wasn't just, you know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't him. It could have been somebody else. Remember, there's DNA found throughout the house of other people. What happened to those people? Have you done your due diligence to find out who those other people were? Have you arrested those people? Have we zeroed in on those people? Who are they? And why is their DNA found inside the house as well? That's a good question, though. But I know it's a tactic to instill some semblance of reasonable doubt, for sure. Moving on, though, in the summer before the unalivings, Kohberger had moved from the Poconos region of Pennsylvania, where his family lives, to Pullman, Washington, Okay. He was invited to an afternoon pool party in nearby Moscow, Idaho on July 9th, according to 3 witnesses who met him there. Now, here's the thing. How was he invited to this? How was he invited to this pool party? Where was he to get invited by somebody to do this pool party? I'm quite curious about that too. Somebody had to go up to him and go, yo, dude, major babes, bro, at the pool party. You know what I mean? Somebody had to. So what happened? Who invited him? That's what I'd like to know too. So his cell phone data, analyzed by an FBI cell phone expert and obtained by Dateline, suggests he was in Moscow again that day after dark. Over the next month, the expert said his phone data indicates a dozen trips to Moscow. In doing so, his phone had also connected with a cell tower providing coverage to within 100 meters of 1122 King Road, the address of course, where the 4 lost their lives. So he went to this pool party, and then his phone data indicates that he was there over a dozen times in that area. In fact, he was in Moscow that later on that night. It is a possibility that these girls were at this party, invited people over to the house afterwards to continue partying. He could have been one of those people invited, and he went back to the house. That's possible too. Or he was straight up lurking, which is also a good possibility as well. That he said, "Ooh, I see you and you're cute." And then suddenly fixation happens. And then he wants to go over there and see what's going on, right? Follow them, something like that. Maybe. Something to think about. But this is in July. So I got questions, though. In late September, records from the criminology student's phone and in possession of law enforcement included an internet search for sociopathic traits in college student. And then the following month, there was a search for spicy content containing keywords like, I can't say that word, but drugged and sleeping. So that's interesting. Could he have been self-diagnosing himself? Maybe. Then on the 14th of October, he was pulled over in his white 2015 Elantra for an alleged traffic violation, his second stop in 7 weeks. He had an amicable interaction with Washington State University police officers, and that's what the body cam video shows. We all saw that. I mean, he was very technical. I didn't know you could do that, blah, blah, blah. It was innocent. Didn't seem like, he didn't give off any weird, creepy vibes, right? He just kind of was trying to argue his way out of a traffic ticket, right? Moving on, 5 days later, another online search. Can psychopaths behave prosocially? According to his cell phone data. So I think that he was self-diagnosing himself. That he literally was like, I got some problems. I got these desires. Maybe I am a psychopath. I think he is. I think he's a sociopath. That's what I truly think. So the following month, 6 days before the actual tragedy, his phone is connected with the same cell tower close to the home. This is what FBI data indicates. The data shows 23 visits over a 4-month period, all after dark. Yeah, because he wanted to go hug the trees and see the moon and the stars, right? Kohberger's lawyers have said in filings that he would take drives alone late at night, often hiking or stargazing, and contend cell phone data would show he was not near the crime scene when the unalivings occurred. Remember, that is his alibi. His alibi is, oh yeah, I need to go see the moon and the stars. And there's no one else on this planet that can corroborate that same story at all. He was looking up Ted Bundy. He was looking up crazy things like sleeping and rugged. Sociopathic traits in college student. Can sociopaths behave prosocially? Now, I don't know. Maybe he was busy putting together a dissertation. Maybe he was working on a paper for school. But something still doesn't seem right here. It just doesn't. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. You have an alibi that is not even paper thin. Okay, you got an alibi that is just weak as hell, has no backing whatsoever. You have his cell phone data. I'm sure his computer, I'm sure, is absolutely insane. The information that's on there, probably filled with all kinds of like spyware and stuff because of all the stuff he's probably searching on there. Okay. But this, to me, is crazy. And when this does come out, when this trial actually starts, this is going to be interesting. I feel like we're going to be rolling our eyes a lot. And I get that there's a lot of people that are pro-burgers out there, okay, that believe that he's innocent. But I'm telling you right now, with everything that is being shown right now, you mean to tell me that these things are completely normal? Like his searches online and all that, totally normal, especially around the same time and even after these people, these 4 kids lose their lives? I'm just saying. I just, like, for me, him cooked. He is in serious trouble here. For everybody else that is pro-burgers, I still wonder how you see how he's innocent. I don't see it at all. I just don't. But at the same time, hey, everybody is allowed to have their opinion. And it's okay and totally warranted to challenge the information that's out there. As you should, as everyone should. But for me, when I look at it, I've challenged it quite a bit. We've talked about this for years. But as we start to hear more and more information, it's kind of like, well, and they keep giving out bits and more breadcrumbs of proof leading towards him guilty. It is really, really hard to see outside of that, at least for me. So it's going to be interesting when we see what's going on here. Hold on. Just checking something here really quick. Okay. Let's take a look at this here too. So calls and online habits. So data from his phone indicates that it had been turned off before 3 a.m. on the morning of the tragedy. It connected to a cell phone tower south of Moscow at 4:48 a.m., the records show. About 90 minutes later, his phone records indicate a call was made in the Pullman area to another phone to a number registered to an account belonging to his father. It appears several family phones, including his mother's, are on that account. At least 3 calls were made to that same number that morning. So he called them a bunch. And I don't know if he was wondering or like maybe nervous, scared, or anxious, or maybe he was just feeling so good about what he did that he wanted to tell somebody, but he couldn't really tell anybody. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But that's very interesting that he called that number multiple times after the tragedy happened. Data shows the phone was briefly back in Moscow just after 9 a.m. before prosecutors say Kohberger returned to his apartment in Pullman, where he took a selfie at 10:31 a.m. with the thumbs up pose in his bathroom mirror. You know, the milky white photo where it's white on white on white. Okay? White on white on white. I mean, like I said, it looks like it's just eyes, eyebrows, and hair. Like if you like lean to the side and squint a little bit, he blends. Everything blends together. Okay? White on white on white. But anyway, why did he take that photo then? Isn't that interesting? He took a photo. He went down there. He went back to Moscow because either he goes, oh, damn, where's the sheath? Oh, snap. And he went back thinking that maybe it wasn't that big of a deal. Maybe, you know, or he went all the way back there just so he can see the commotion outside, just so he could see the cops showing up. He might have done that and been like, I committed the perfect murder. Yes, he may have done that. I need to go back and see the glory of my hard work. Maybe. I know that sounds messed up, but that could have been it. Just saying. Let's continue on, though. He went back, y'all. Remember that. It's been a couple years since we talked about this, like in its entirety or with detail. Okay? So he went back hours later. And I think he went back there and he come on. He went back there because he clearly knew that there was going to be cops by then. He probably thought that there was going to be cops way before because he got caught. Dylan Mortensen saw him. He probably was like, then he ran. And so he was like, oh, cops are going to be here. Cops are definitely going to be here. Right? So maybe he went back to just go see his work and see the reaction to his work, which is possible. Let's go ahead. All right. So then he took that selfie right after he went back home, put on his best, most pressed satin button-up white shirt that we all just saw just a second ago and took a photo. Why? That was a celebratory photo. I'm telling you right now. He literally said, I did it in that photo. That's what I truly believe. Moving on. In the days after the unalivings, there were browsing activity on his phone that law enforcement would later collect forensically. One Google search was for University of Idaho unalivings. Other searches were for a program about serial monster Ted Bundy, and a YouTube video about the King Road victims. So he was watching a YouTuber talking about this as well. I wonder who that could have been. By mid-December, Kohberger would return to his family home in Pennsylvania with police in Moscow still not confirming publicly whether they had a suspect. The critical clue they solicited was information on a car, what they believed to be a white Elantra seen in the area around the time of the unalivings. But the investigators did have other evidence that they say pointed them to Kohberger, including the DNA, the touch DNA that everybody's been losing their minds over. Okay. They also used genetic genealogy to source the DNA. 2 days after Christmas in 2022, investigators covertly pulled trash from outside Kohberger's home for testing. According to prosecutors, the DNA turned out to be a statistical match, like it was his, period. In the meantime, the search history on his phone would show more videos of Ted Bundy, the song Criminal, Criminal by Britney Spears. Criminal. Why do I think of Eminem with Criminal? Criminal. What is Britney Spears Criminal? I don't think I know that one. Hold on. Hold on. Criminal. I'm literally looking up a Britney Spears song, guys. What is going on with this world? The things you do for true crime. I've never heard of that song in my life. Okay, so apparently he's a Britney Spears fan? Say what? I was thinking like Eminem's Criminal. Okay? Because I'm a criminal. You know what I mean? Subliminal. Minimal. Eminem. But no. Criminal by Britney Spears. I don't know that song. I'm going to have to listen to it now. Yeah, I'm listening to Britney Spears. Moving on. And he had additional selfies, including Kohberger wearing a black hoodie like how Bundy was dressed in a program viewed on YouTube. So he's a fanboy. He's straight up a fanboy. Then on December 30th, just after 1 a.m., law enforcement agents descended on his home with a warrant for his arrest. Okay? So we already know that piece. Let's go back up here. There's some information here. I think that there's going to be something crazy in here. We got to take a look at this. So a timeline, which we already know most of this timeline. All right. So the white Elantra, the 330, the white Elantra was captured on a neighbor's home security video. The footage obtained by Dateline shows the car going toward the King Road home and circling past the block multiple times over the next half hour. Then at 4:07, the white car drove by yet again and then didn't come back into view until 4:20 a.m. when the video shows this vehicle speeding off. It was speeding off, guys. It's in the 13-minute time frame that prosecutors have said in a court filing they believe the kids all lost their lives, suffering multiple wounds by a large, sharp object. They say Mortensen, and of course, we already know about them not being physically harmed. Okay, she would later tell, Dylan would later tell investigators that she had seen a figure walking past her in black clothing and a ski mask exiting the house. So sources close to the investigation told Dateline they believe Maddie, may have been the monster's intended target because the intruder had gone directly upstairs to her bedroom where Gonzalez, Kaylee, was with her. Interesting. The tan leather sheath for the large K-bar knife was found on the bed next to Mogan's body, investigators would later say. The investigative sources also said Kernodle, who was still up after ordering food from DoorDash, was attacked next. Then, the sources said, the perpetrator turned to her boyfriend, who is believed to be asleep in bed, and carved Chapin's lower legs with a blade. So, Ethan was the last to go. At least this is from what they're saying. Dateline is what Dateline is saying. Now, what's interesting about this is because he's been attacked in the legs. Now, you got to remember there's a lot of major arteries in the legs as well. Depending on where he was actually attacked and cut. Bad. And I think that the attack happened at the legs first to slow Ethan down. And then he was taken out. Because we heard different things. We've heard that he was actually like, a lot of them were attacked so viciously that, you know, there was red leaking out the doors or leaking out the houses, out the walls of the house. So again, what they're saying right now, I'm sure it's much more gruesome than what we're hearing right now. Okay. But the theory is it's Maddie that's the target, or was the focus. And just Kaylee just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Also, same with same with Xana and Ethan. And the other thing is too is you never know. Maybe Bryan Kohberger, or for those who are pro burgers, whoever took these kids' lives may have thought in the dead of night that Ethan was a girl. That could have been possible. They were just maybe hanging out in the same room together, and then he just went in there and attacked this person, only to find out, oh, damn, it's a guy. Maybe. Or he just wanted to take somebody else out as well. But this is interesting that now, because I know a lot of people have been saying Kaylee's with focus. She's the focus. And that's what the theory has been for some time now. Okay. It has, right? But the thing is they're saying Maddie could actually be the target, which is very possible too. So he went upstairs first, attacked those two girls in Kaylee's room, then went downstairs, attacked Xana and Ethan, and then ran out, running into Dylan before he ran out. Crazy, guys. Yeah, see, I heard Kaylee was the presumed in the very, very beginning. I'm just talking about like in the very beginning. People were saying that it was Kaylee that was the focus. And then, or was the target. And then of course Maddie just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. That was one of the theories in the very beginning. Remember, even the dad, even Kaylee's dad was saying, why did he have to go upstairs? He even said that. Why do you have to go upstairs? And we were analyzing the hell out of that in the very beginning. In the very beginning, we all thought Kaylee was the focus at first. But it wasn't. It's Maddie. It's a damn shame, guys. Okay, Cicada says, I think his main goal was those two girls. He knew they were best friends for life. Yeah, especially if he was going on the Instagram and he was, Insta lurking, he was cyber stalking, it's a possibility that he figured it out online. Oh, they must be besties. And then also at the same time, it makes you wonder, they went to that food truck, right? They got food from that food truck. They clearly were drunk. Then they got into that Uber or that, that ride share, and they went back home. What are the chances of Bryan Kohberger actually maybe, keeping tabs on them before he went to that house? Like I'm thinking that maybe he was over there lurking around the taco truck, which is a possibility too. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Hold on, guys. Hold tight. I just got something. Hold on. So again, they're saying the investigation. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So article references that he carved Ethan's legs. I know this was a rumor for a while, but never confirmed before. So yeah, so I don't know what carved means, carving his legs means, but to me, it sounds like maybe it was some deep, deep punctures, which is possible because he wanted to slow this man down. He doesn't want to fight the guy, but I've already said this a million times before. If you go toe to toe with a person with a weapon, 9 times out of 10, you should be hoping that it's a pew-pew, because a knife, it's always bad news with a knife. Always. Yeah. So, again, we understand that, like I said in the article, because I'm looking at it right now. Ethan was believed to be asleep. Okay. Right here. I'll highlight it because I have it still up right here for everyone to see. Okay. Ethan Chapin was attacked, and it looks like he was asleep when he was attacked. He had no idea what was going on. So it could have been a thing where, yeah, it could have been Achilles tendons. You know what I mean? He could have been like, pop, pop, real quick so that he can't move around. So he's not as mobile, because you got to remember, it's you trust me. If you have the opportunity or the option of slowing your opponent down quickly, that would be an option for sure. Get them in the legs. It's going to be very hard for them to move around. So what happened here is, he was asleep. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. Okay. I really don't think that you have to be a master of sharp objects, if you get what I'm saying, to do damage. If you have a knife and you have rage, or you have a full-on clear purpose, you could do a lot of damage with a knife. A weapon like a pew-pew, like a gun, as soon as it runs out of bullets, it's a paperweight. Sure, you can bludgeon somebody with it. Sure, you can use it you can use it to try to hit somebody with it. But that's as bad as it gets, right? But again, if you're in close proximity with somebody and that person has a sharp knife in their hands, you better pray that there's an opening behind you and run. Because not every single day does somebody survive fighting somebody with an actual knife. And if that person, like I said, has strength, speed, they could, if they're even somewhat decent with the knife, you don't even have to be perfect with it. You could still do some serious damage with that stuff, guys. Again, he could have been a complete novice. And you also add the element of surprise. Oh, and also on top of that, not even just the element of surprise. Not only that, that's part of it. But then the sprinkles on top in the situation, as diabolical as it may be, you got kids who are drunk, wasted from kicking it that night. So you got the element of surprise. You got a guy who is physically, he's physically athletic. He's got stamina. He has a weapon in his hands that I'm sure he's pretty decent with. He may not be a ninja with this mother lover, but he's got focus, and he's got a purpose, and he's got rage. And then you throw him into a place, surprise a bunch of drunk kids after they were out kicking it for a weekend, for a night out. You could do some serious damage. And he knew that. This is terrible. Heartbreaking. And like I said, the searches on his phone say a lot. And I know that there's going to be people on the other side that are going to look at it and go, but he's a criminology student. Maybe he was looking those things up for a reason. Maybe. Then again, maybe not. He has a very interesting taste in spicy adult film content as well. That stuff is pretty weird. Why does he have to have stuff like that? Sleeping and then under the influence gives me kind of Ari vibes. You know what I mean? Ari vibes. Gives me grapey vibes, guys. It does a little bit. It's weird. So what say you guys? Louisa, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Let's see. Yeah, and I never knew. I can't play the Britney Spears song. You're gonna have to look it up. Like I was just about to say, I can't believe "Criminal" is a song that he likes, but I don't know that song. I only know the popular Britney Spears stuff. You know what I mean? Like, "Oops, I Did It Again" or something like that. That's pretty much as far as it goes. Oh, "I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman." Maybe he really loved that song too. You know what I mean? He's just sitting there just swaying to it. All I need is time. You know what I mean? He's just like, yes. And then playing "Criminal." You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what it is. Wow. Okay. Michael Jackson did do a song called "Criminal" too. And that's a good song too. I forgot about that. That's a good song. Okay. But hey, you, not me. So enjoy your trip down memory lane with Britney. You'll be like, oh, free Britney. Is she really free? I don't know if she is, but now I want to ask Bryan Kohberger, what do you think about the Free Britney movement? Are you with it or are you against it? Something to think about. I'm sure he's having that conversation with his cellmates right now, or, other people in the jail, other people that are holed up. They're like, oh, I love that song. "Toxic" is my favorite song. It just transcends me to another place. That is the show, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got a lot to talk about. There's so much going on. Oh, my word. There's so much going on. But thank you guys so much for being here. It really means a lot. Please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. Also, crush that subscribe button here on my main channel. Go to my second channel. Subscribe to my second channel. Okay? The Pascal Show clips. Hit that notification bell on both platforms, both channels, so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because a lot of times it's random. Right now, there's so much random breaking news stuff that we just got to keep it moving, okay? Sorry, guys. It just is what it is. But I appreciate you guys being here. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com, all right? All right, guys. But we'll be talking here soon. If there's more stuff going on, we will be live. We'll be talking. Get ready, because things are going crazy right now. Anyway, it's time to get going. Much love to you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye. Taste of your lips, I'm on the rise. Okay, bye.